Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth.
First Contact Radio. We have
Time to demand the truth.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back from the weekend. Hope you had a good time. Today is 25th. It's a Monday. Last full week of the month of January. This year's already moving along, isn't it? All right, our sun sign is in Aquarius. It's an air sign. Our moon sign is in between signs at the moment. We left the sign of Leo for the moon sign last night. We went void, of course, at 8:51 p.m., and it will remain all day until 9:46 p.m. So today is one of those void, of course, days. So if the subconscious mind seems to be in between places, that's because it actually is. It's in between the fire and the earth, in between all of these ideas and this creativity, and the hermit who wants to find a practical use to make all these things happen. So here we have the unconscious mind. This is Leo. This is Virgo. Okay, so we've got the Leo energy. We've left that. We're still feeling some of the effects of the fire. We're getting ready to go into this. Patience, timing. So the subconscious mind is looking for a way now to express, to bring into materiality that which we've learned, all the lessons and the creativity, so on. Okay? So that's what we're looking for today. Otherwise, no real specific aspects we need to be aware of. Moon sign. It is now 97.5% of the way full, making it back down to the new moon. Hope you saw the full moon this weekend. Great full moon. Nice and bright. Next new moon is February 28th. Excuse me, February 8th. So in just 2 weeks. Jewish calendar today is 15 Shavat. 15 Shavat, the daily thought is a woman's way. A woman's influence is very different from a man's. A man needs to conquer, to vanquish an opponent. Therefore, his victory is often superficial, and he may get the other guy to nod his head, but not his heart. A woman is able to reach inside a man. He may not only recognize her influence, he feels as though this was his idea all along. From where does this talent come? Paradoxically, from the woman's union with the man. So too, from the man's union with a woman, he too can learn to fix the world through nurture. Mayan Oracle, we're at 11-tone day. We're finishing up the wave spell of the hand. We've got a couple of days left to go. The hand is all about accomplishment. We use our hands to accomplish, to create. We can also use it to tear down, just depends how we're using it. The earth, synchronicity and navigation, is our guide and our kin for today. Like-minded energy is inspiration. Hidden power is planting the seed, and the hand, which is our theme, our wave spell accomplishment, that's our challenge today. Phrase is I dissolve in order to evolve, releasing synchronicity. I seal the matrix of navigation with the spectral tone of liberation. I am guided by my own power doubled. Space weather, solar wind, 417.8 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index, currently at a 1. However, next 24 hours we could get up to a 4. Be a bit unsettled. Large corona hole open up on the top of the sun here. One on the bottom. We'll see how they take shape over the next 24 hours. M-class flare possibilities at 5, X-class at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity seems to be subsiding slightly from 40 to 30 down in the mid latitudes, upper latitudes from 45 down to 40. And up in the sky tonight, here's our graphic so we can get a look at it. Okay, we've got the sun, or excuse me, the moon, and above the moon we're going to have Regulus, Leo off to the left here, Jupiter way down to the left. We may not see that tonight. Says the waning gibbous moon rises not long after dark, with Regulus shimmering about 3 degrees to its left. Later in the night, Regulus shines upper left of the moon as shown here. Okay, and there you have it. That is our cosmic weather for today. What we're dealing with. UFO news is up next. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. I have 4 good sightings for you today. First one comes from the Netherlands. Glowing orb over the Netherlands changes speed and direction. The eyewitness says, I was on the way to the car with my girlfriend when we suddenly saw a bright light moving up in the sky. It wasn't an airplane, and it sure wasn't a satellite. The object was changing speed constantly from fast to slow and fast. Wasn't moving in a straight line. Luckily, we caught it on camera. All right, there you go. Okay. We've seen that one before. Looks like there might be something else down there. Maybe that's a flare, lens flare. All right, moving on next to up at the moon. Ancient 3.5 mile tall spire on the moon's surface in Google Map. Okay, so what is this? Is this real? Is this fake? It's hard to tell sometimes. This is the legendary spire on Earth's moon. It's been seen before. February 1967 orbiter, 3 photos. The spire is 3.64 miles tall according to Google Ruler, but this is only an estimate. It may be off as much as half a mile, more or less. This new discovery of the spire on our moon found by Mexo Greek of YouTube. The spire looks like he's coming out of the center of a crater. These are not craters. Many small white shiny structures. The spire would probably be built to accommodate a very large vessel so that it could dock safely without landing. Do you remember the long UFO that looks like Star Trek Voyager, which I used my blog header above? Well, that ship is 10 miles across, which is perfect for docking here. Okay, so it's just a speculation that that's what happens here. And of course, we just simply have the spire, which, okay, there we go. There's the object we're told is there. Certainly does look like something if this indeed is accurate. Okay, moving on. Doctor claims to have proved aliens exist. Dr. Richard O'Connor locked 2 motion detector cameras in the sky at his home in Helena, Montana, in the U.S., which allowed him to snap nearly 28,000 photos, but only one recent photo he believes able to capture the long-sought proof alien-flown UFOs. Dr. O'Connor, a semi-retired anesthesiologist at Helena's St. Peter's Hospital, claims he captured an object flying through the sky in a series of 5 pictures. He says that even the hardened skeptic would say, wow, as this is what he expects a UFO would look like. He adds that it appears to be a light source, and the photographs are evident that UFOs are real. After Dr. O'Connor had posted these pictures online, a frenzy of debate flared among the UFO community, with some suggesting they were not conclusive proof, and the others said that they were fake. Now he is enlisting more experts to check and examine the photos. Dr. O'Connor set up 2 Reconyx Hyperfire PC900 trail cameras 30 feet above the ground in the southeast corner of the house in hopes to get some evidence of UFOs once they were set off the motion detector. The cameras shoot 20 photos, about a second interval. When triggered by motion, they had captured several squirrels, birds, and wind-blown treetops. Dr. O'Connor believed he finally snapped proof of UFOs this winter. He said that basically what you see is a very symmetrical, smooth, reflective surface that appears to have a light source. He further claims that he has no knowledge about the image manipulation. His photos were sent to the National UFO Reporting Center, and he keeps and investigates a database of UFO sightings. Head of Newfork, Peter Davenport, said the pictures of the photo analysis for further investigation. According to the unnamed analyst, the images are real but still a mystery. The analyst suspects the lights in the first and the last photos are sun reflections of something rather than any propulsion system. In conclusion, the analyst says it's a puzzle to solve rather than fake. However, an analyst who also examined them suggested they were completely fake, which angered Dr. O'Connor, who promised to take the polygraph test about the authenticity of his photos. Dr. O'Connor said that what people saw in there was what came off that camera. He added that they were deserving to be studied in a well-funded, unbiased scientific study to determine if we were being visited. A third analyst said that the photo was an interesting one. The colors of the object resembled the surrounding clouds and blue sky. It would occur naturally with highly reflective silver objects. The fact that it was 1/20th second frame could rule out balloons or other terrestrial objects. It also indicates the objects decelerated and accelerated and held a position for just one frame, as no elongated motion line would have occurred in this velocity was constant, explained the third analyst. Okay, so there you go. Good mystery to solve. And finally, what do experts say about when we will have contact with intelligent aliens? Are we alone? Is a pretty big question, but if the answer is no, humanity may have to grapple with an even bigger issue: how to cope with crowds of extraterrestrial civilizations. Over the last 20 years, astronomers have detected about 2,000 alien planets, and these discoveries suggest that potentially habitable worlds are common throughout the Milky Way galaxy and likely throughout the universe as a whole. There are thus many possible abodes for life throughout the cosmos, and given the age of the universe, about 13.8 billion years, there has been plenty of time for life forms to evolve complexity and intelligence, many experts say. Intelligent aliens out there? If so, when will humanity make contact with them? Space.com sent its own signal out to several top experts in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence to ask whether 2016 could be the year of ET contact or not. The search ramps up. I'm not holding my breath that we'll find conclusive evidence of alien technology before the end of 2016, but the changes are getting better with every passing year, says Douglas Vakoch, Director of Interstellar Message Composition at the SETI Institute in Mountain View, California. Over the next decade, we should be able to search for radio signals from 1 million stars or more, he told Space.com. That's a big enough number to make it reasonable to think that we'll find intelligent life, if it's actually out there and trying to make contact. So don't place your bets for winning the SETI lottery in 2016, but within the next decade, we may well discover we're not alone in the universe. That discovery may come in the form of a radio signal detected at Earth from another star, or through indirect evidence gleaned by studying the atmosphere of distinct exoplanets. Either way, the discovery of life beyond Earth would be one that could be the most profound events of the century. A different take is offered by astrobiologist David Grinspoon, author of the forthcoming book Earth in Human Hands, due out in October. The book delves into the long-term implications of human influence on our own planet and how this should affect how we think about SETI. My initial thought is that there is nothing very different about 2016 from 14, 15, or 17. He told Space.com, in Grinspoon's view, exoplanet detections are encouraging, but they have not really changed the landscape much from what early SETI pioneers in 1960s assumed. As for why contact has not been made already, Grinspoon suggested that the question itself indicates a time-scale attention of impatience, and that an impatience mismatched to the time scale of the question. We may indeed make contact this year, Grinspoon said, and wouldn't that be fantastic? Or it may take another 1,000 years, which is nothing really on a broader cosmological time scales. It is clearly true that humanity has some promising new place to search. If certain assumptions about alien civilizations are correct, he said, radio searches should be targeted at nearby planets that seem potentially habitable. But let's not delude ourselves into thinking that this hugely raises the expectation that this will be the year of contact. But Grispoon is encouraged by the prospect that researchers should soon be able to search for signs of intelligent life in the atmosphere of some of these faraway worlds. Soon is a relative term, of course. In Grispoon's view, the term refers to the next few decades as we develop space telescopes that can start to discern the spectral signatures of planets that have been modified by intelligent activities. In these same decades, Grispoon said we need to see if we can start to transform our own planet into one that has been modified by intelligent activities, because the modifications to date have not been very smart. Okay, it's a lot more to the article. I'm going to leave that for you. You get the idea. So anyway, there you go. Another note, let me ask, did you happen to see the X-Files last night? Pretty good, pretty good. It's on for 6 episodes. They seem to have covered the gamut of the conspiracy theories that are out in the world today, which was quite fascinating. So, sort of got my attention, and I'm willing to see what further they have to offer. There you have it. That is our UFO news. I'm going to jump away. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brothers watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right. All right. You know, when I see that video, it just, and I see the pictures of Bush, I'm just reminded of the war criminal that he is. and the criminal activities when he was in office. And we seem to forget because of this clown that's in office and this administration that's really got things so goofed up. Crazy world we live in. But that kind of ties into what we're going to continue on with. Last week we began talking about the Nag Hammadi Library, and we're going to continue on with that because I believe this is a very important set of documents for us to study because there's some reality in here that is very important. Glad to hear that you've enjoyed what we've talked about thus far and enjoyed the story of Sophia. Let me just kind of catch you up. This was kind of the summary of all that we've looked at thus far. We have the realm of the immortals, where we have the mother and the father, and the mother and the father, have the qualities of thought, foreknowledge, incorruptibility, life everlasting, and truth. When they first discovered each other, looked at each other, a spark was created, and the divine autogens was created from this. The autogens, Christ, was given authority over all things, who created multiple realms. 4 realms, and each of these realms had multiple realms to them, 3 sub-realms. And down here in this one sub-realm is where Sophia is, represents wisdom. And this is where there was a problem, and from this was created Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth. So Yaldabaoth is called the Demiurge, the one who created this reality, as you could see. Now the problem we have is we have a book, the Bible, which tells us and starts off with the creation of the world. And it starts off with this being just creating humankind, creating all that was created. But we don't get a history of where this being is from. But yet the Nag Hammadi Library shows us the history, and we find out that this being is actually the fallen one, the one over the darkness, the one who was the abortion, the one that was not aware of who he was really from. And this is the being that came off and created this reality that we're in. So that's kind of problematic. So I'm going to continue on today. We're going to dig deeper and we're going to learn more because we need to understand what's really going on, because it would appear that the God of the Old Testament, who we're told is Yahweh, is actually the fallen one. And I've spent a great deal of research this last weekend reading and just looking all of the stories assigned to Yahweh and all of the destruction that goes along with it. And there was a good question at one of them. It said, in our day and age, if we were to look at somebody who was killing men, women, and children and doing all the things that were assigned to Yahweh, we would look at that person as a bloodthirsty tyrant. And yet the Bible is filled with these kind of stories that we just sort of gloss over because, quite frankly, most people don't spend time really reading the Bible. They go to the church, you hear the New Testament stories, you hear about what Jesus is saying, but you really don't go back and study the Old Testament unless, of course, they're doing a reading of something in one of the services. So most people don't know. They just kind of take it for granted that this is what we're doing. But Jesus doesn't refer to Yahweh. Jesus talks to the Mother, Father God. Very significant, very important that we understand that. Just like it's very important that we understand Jesus' name is Yeshua, that Jesus is the English translation of his name. Yeshua is the name. Okay, so let's take a look further. We're going to jump into the next section. This book is called The Reality of the Rulers of the Hypostasis of the Archons. You've heard the term Archons, or maybe you haven't. Very important. Samuel's sin. Because of the reality of the authorities, and remember, the authorities are what we were told are these Archons. Okay? Remember, Yaldabaoth created humankind. What happened? Just a refresher. Yaldabaoth was here on the earth. Yaldabaoth had created the demons. He created all kind of life around on the earth. And then one day, Yaldabaoth made a declaration that he was God and there was no other God beside him. When that happened, he was informed thusly that he was not, and that really made him jealous and upset. And when he had seen the reflection shining down from the firmament down to the waters, and he saw this reflection, he thought that the best thing he could do was try to trap a spark of this being, this divine being claiming to be God, to trap it and use it for their own. And so that's where Adam came into play. They created Adam in order to trap. And these beings were called the Archons. These beings, Yaldabaoth is considered the chief Archon, or authority. And then you have all of the ones that he created are also the authorities, the Archons. So when we heard the term, the rulers, the authorities, the Archons, they're all referring to the same being. Okay? So because of the reality of the authorities, inspired by the Spirit of the Father of Truth, the great messenger, referring to the authorities of darkness, told us, and the great messenger being Yeshua, told us, our contest is not against flesh and blood, rather the authorities of the universe and the spirits of wickedness. Okay? Right here, this is the crux of everything. Very, very important. Our contest is not against flesh and blood, rather the authorities of the universe and the spirits of wickedness. Okay, so therein lies our challenge, because we look at the battles that we're fighting in this reality and we think they're fighting with people in this reality, and that's not the case. We may be fighting with people in this reality, but the people that we're fighting and the challenges are because they're being influenced by authorities and rulers of an unseen realm. Okay? That's the problem. That's what's going on here. So our contest is not against the flesh and blood, rather the authorities of the universe and the spirits of wickedness. I have sent you this because you inquire about the realities of the authorities. Their chief is blind because of his power and his ignorance and his arrogance. He said with power he was God and there was no other besides him. But when he said this, he sinned against all. And the speech rose up to incorruptibility. Incorruptibility is the highest spirits. Then there was a voice that came forth from incorruptibility, saying, Samael, that is, God of the blind. His thoughts became blind, and having expelled his power, that is, the blasphemy he had spoken, he pursued it down to chaos and the abyss. His mother, at the instigation of Pistis Sophia, she established each of his offspring in conformity with its power, after the pattern of the realms that are above. For by starting from the invisible world, the visible world was invented. And as incorruptibility looked down into the region of the waters, her image appeared in the water, and the authorities of darkness became enamored of her. But they could not lay hold of that image which appeared to them in the waters, because of their weakness, since beings that merely have soul cannot lay hold of those that have spirit, for they were from above, they are from below, while it was from above. This is the reason why incorruptibility looked down into that region, so that by the Father's will she might bring all into union with the light. The rulers laid plans, said, Come, let us create a human that we will be soil from the earth. They modeled their creature as one wholly of the earth. The rulers have bodies that are both female and male, and faces that are the faces of beasts. They took some soil from the earth and modeled their man after the body and the image of God that appeared to them in the waters. They said, Come, let us lay hold of it by means of the form that we have modeled, so that we may see its male partner and may seize it with the form that we have modeled, not understanding the partner of God because of their powerlessness. And he breathed into his face, and man came to have a soul and remained on the ground many days. But they could not make him rise because of their powerlessness. Like storm winds, they persisted in blowing that which had appeared to them in the waters, that they might try to capture that image which had appeared to them in the waters, and they did not know the identity of its power. Now all of these events came to pass after the will of the Father of the All. Afterward the Spirit saw the man of soul on the ground. The Spirit came forth from the Adamantian land. It descended and came to dwell in him, and that man became a living soul, and his spirit called his name Adam, since he was found moving upon the ground. A voice came from incorruptibility for the assistance of Adam. The rulers gathered together all of the animals of the earth and all of the birds of heaven, and brought them in to Adam to see what Adam would call them, that he might give each a name to the birds and the beasts. The ruler took Adam and put him in the garden that he might cultivate it and keep watch over it. They issued a command to him, saying, "From every tree in the garden you shall eat, but from the tree of knowledge of good and evil don't eat, nor touch it, for in the day you eat from it you will surely die." They said this to him, but they did not understand what they said. Rather, by the Father's will, they said it in such a way that he might, in fact, eat, and that Adam might not regard them as would a man of exclusively material nature. The rulers took counsel with one another and said, "Come, let us cause a deep sleep to fall on Adam." And he slept. Now the deep sleep they caused to fall on him in the sleep is ignorance. They opened his side, which was like a living woman, and they built up his side with some flesh in place of her. And Adam came to be only with soul. The woman of spirit came to him and spoke to him and said, "Rise, Adam." And when he saw her, he said, "It is you who have given me life. You will be called the mother of the living. For she is my mother. She is the physician and the woman, and she has given birth." The authorities came up to Adam, and when they saw his female partner speaking with him, they became very excited and enamored of her. They said to one another, "Come, let us sow our seed in her." And they pursued her. She laughed at them for their foolishness and blindness, and in their clutches she became a tree, and left before her shadowy reflection, resembling herself, and they defiled it foully. And they defiled the seal of her voice, so that by their form they had modeled together with their own image, they made themselves liable to condemnation. Then the female spiritual presence came in the form of a snake, the instructor, and it taught them, saying, "What did he say to you? Was it, 'From every tree in the garden you shall eat, but from the tree of recognizing evil and good do not'?" The woman of flesh says, "Not only did he say, 'Don't eat,' he said, 'Don't touch it, for in the day you eat from it you will surely die.'" The snake, the instructor, said, "It is not that case, for you will not surely die. For out of jealousy he said this to you. Rather, your eyes will be open, and you will be like gods, recognizing evil and good." And the female instructing power was taken away from the snake, and she left it behind, merely a thing of the earth. And the woman of flesh took from the tree and ate, and she gave to her husband as well as herself, and those beings who possessed only a soul ate. And their imperfection became apparent in their lack of knowledge. They recognized that they were naked of the spiritual, and they took fig leaves and bound them around themselves. Then the chief ruler came, and he said, "Adam, where are you?" For he did not understand what had happened. Adam said, "I heard your voice, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid." The ruler said, "Well, why did you hide, unless it is because you have eaten from the tree which is alone that I have commanded you not to eat? You have eaten." Adam said, "The woman you gave to me gave me the fruit, and I ate." The arrogant ruler cursed the woman. The woman said, "The snake led me astray, and I ate." They turned to the snake, and they cursed its shadowy reflection, so that it was powerless, and they did not comprehend that it was a form that they themselves had modeled. From that day the snake came to be under the curse of the authorities, until the perfect human was to come. That curse fell on the snake. They turned to their Adam, and they took him and expelled him from the garden along with his wife, for they have no blessing, since they too are under the curse. Moreover, they threw human beings into great distraction and into the toil of life, so that human beings might be occupied by worldly affairs and might not have the opportunity of being devoted to the Holy Spirit. Now, one of the things here, we've got Adam, they took him and expelled him from the garden, but apparently there's other human beings here too, because they threw humans into distraction. So we have more going on than just Adam and Eve at this point in time. Now afterward she bore Cain and Abel. Cain cultivated the land. There he knew his wife. Again, becoming pregnant, she bore Abel, and Abel was a herdsman of sheep. Cain brought in the crops from the field, but Abel brought in an offering from among the lambs. God looked at the votive offerings of Abel, and he did not accept the offerings of Cain, and fleshly Cain pursued Abel his brother. God said to Cain, "Where is Abel your brother?" He said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" God said to Cain, "Listen, the voice of your brother's blood is crying up to me. You have sinned with your mouth. It will return to you. Anyone who kills Cain will let loose 7 vengeances, and you will exist groaning and trembling upon the earth." And Adam knew his partner Eve, and she became pregnant and bore Seth to Adam. And she said, I have borne another man through God in place of Abel. Again Eve became pregnant, and she bore Noriah. And she said, he has produced for me a virgin as an assistance for many generations of human beings. She is the virgin whom the forces did not defile. Then humankind began to multiply and improve. The rulers took counsel with one another and said, come, let us make a flood with our hands and obliterate all flesh from man to beast. And when the ruler of the forces came to know their decision, he said to Noah, make yourself an ark from wood that does not rot, and hide in it, you and your children and the beasts and the birds of heaven, from the small to the large, and set it upon Mount Sur. Then Noriah came to him, wanting to board the ark. When he would not let her, she blew upon the ark and caused it to be consumed by fire. Again he made the ark for a second time. The rulers went to meet her, intending to lead her astray. The supreme chief said to her, your mother Eve came to us. But Noriah turned to them and said to them, it is you who are the rulers of darkness. You are accursed. You did not know my mother. Instead, it was your own female that you knew. For I am not your descendant. Rather, it is from the world above that I am come. Now, what he's talking about here, remember in the previous version, it talked about Yaldabaoth, how he raped Eve? Doesn't really get into this here, but now we're alluding to it. He says that you did not know my mother. So what she's talking about is the spirit that was in her. That he only did something to the body, not the spirit. Okay, the arrogant ruler turned with all of his might, and his countenance was like a blazing fire. And he said to her presumptuously, you must serve us. Also did your mother Eve. But Noriah turned with power, and in a loud voice she cried up to the Holy One, the God of all, rescue me from the rulers of unrighteousness. Save me from their clutches at once. The great angel came down from the heavens and said to her, why are you crying up to God? Why do you act so boldly towards the Holy Spirit? Noriah said, who are you? The rulers of unrighteousness had withdrawn from her. He said, I am Elilith Sangicity, the great angel who stands in the presence of the Holy Spirit. I have been sent to speak with you and to save you from the grasp of lawless. I shall teach you about your root. Now, as for the angel, I cannot speak of his power. His appearance is like fine gold, and his raiment like snow. No, truly my mouth cannot bear to speak of his power and the appearance of his face. Elilith, the great angel, spoke to me. It is I, he said, who am understanding. I am one of the four luminaries who stand in the presence of the great invisible spirit. Do you think these rulers have any power over you? None of them can prevail against the root of truth, for it's on account he has appeared in the final ages, and these authorities will be restrained. And these authorities cannot defile you and that race, for your abode is in incorruptibility, where the Virgin Spirit lives, who is superior to the authorities of chaos and the universe. But I said, sir, teach me about these authorities. How did they come into being? By what genesis and out of what material, and who created them and their power? The great Lilith, understanding, spoke to me. Incorruptibility inhabits limitless realms. Sophia, who is called Pistis, wanted to create something alone, without her partner, and what she created was celestial. A veil exists between the world above and the realms below, and a shadow came into being beneath the veil. The shadow became matter, and that shadow was projected apart, and what she had created came into matter, like an aborted fetus. It assumed a shape molded out of shadow and became an arrogant beast resembling a lion. It was androgynous, as I have already said, because it derived from matter. Opening his eyes, he saw a vast quantity of endless matter, and he turned arrogant and said that he was God and there was no other but him. When he said this, he sinned against all, and a voice came from above the realm of absolute power, saying, you are wrong, Samuel, that is God of the blind. And he said, if another thing exists before me, let it be visible to me. Immediately Sophia pointed her finger and introduced light into matter, and she pursued it down to the region of chaos, and she returned up to her light. Once again, darkness returned to matter. This ruler, by being androgynous, made himself a vast realm, an endless precinct, and he contemplated creating offspring for himself, and created 7 offspring androgynous like their parent. And he said of the offspring, I am the God of all. Zoe, the daughter of Pistis Sophia, shouted, saying to him, You are wrong, Sakla, another alternative name for Yaldabaoth. She breathed into his face, and her breath became a fiery angel for her, and that angel bound Yaldabaoth and cast him down into Tartaros at the bottom of the abyss. Now when his offspring, the offspring of Yaldabaoth, saw him, when his offspring Sabaoth saw the strength of that angel, he repented and condemned his father and his mother Matter. He loathed her, but he sang songs of praise up to Sophia and her daughter Zoe. And Sophia and Zoe found him and put him in charge of the seventh heaven, below the veil, between above and below. And he is called the god of the forces, Sabaoth, since he is up above the forces of chaos, for Sophia placed him there. Now when these events had come to pass, he made himself a huge four-faced chariot of cherubim and harps and lyres and infinity of angels to act as ministers. Sophia took her daughter Zoe and had her sit at his right to teach him about the things that exist in the eighth heaven, and the angel of wrath she placed at his left. Since that day his right has been called life, and the left has been signified the unrighteousness of the realm of absolute power above. It was before your time when they came into being. Now when Yaldabaoth saw him in this great splendor at this height, he envied him, and his envy became something androgynous. And this was the origin of envy. And envy engendered death, and death engendered his offspring, and each gave them charge of its heaven, and all of the heavens of chaos became full of their multitudes. But it was by the will of the Father of all that they came into being, after the pattern of all the things above, so that all the sum of chaos might be attained. There, I've taught you about the pattern of the rulers and the matter in which they made visible along with their parent in the universe. But I said, Sir, am I also from their matter? You together with your offspring are from the primeval Father. Their souls come from above out of the incorruptible light. Therefore the authorities cannot approach them, since the Spirit of truth resides in them, and all who have known this way exist deathless in the midst of dying people. Still the offspring will not become known now. Instead, after 3 generations, it will come to be known and free them from the bondage of the authorities' error. Then I said, Sir, how much longer? He said, until the moment when the true human, with a modeled form, reveals the existence of the Spirit of truth that the Father has sent. Then he will teach you about everything, and he will anoint them with the unactin of life eternal, given him from the generation without a king. Then they will be free of the blind thought, and will trample on death which comes from the authorities, and they will ascend into the limitless light where this offspring belongs. Then the authorities will relinquish their ages, and the angels will weep over their destruction, and the demons will lament their death. Then all the children of light will truly know the truth, and their root, and the Father of all, and the Holy Spirit. They will all say with a single voice, the Father's truth is just, and the child presides over all, and from everyone till the ages of ages. Holy, holy, holy. Amen. Okay, so there you go. So we have a story here that, again, reiterates and what we heard in the first story, the Apocryphon of John. So we have this being Yaldabaoth, who is doing all of the same things that we've come to understand that Yahweh does. And it seems that this is, Yahweh has the connection to Anu, who is the Sumerian god, who is the same thing as the Semitic god El, who is the same as the Greek god Kronos, or the Roman god Saturn. Possibly Lucifer is part of this mix as well. So we seem to have a lot of beings who are all part of the same mix, maybe the same being with just different names. Whatever the case may be, these are all part of the archonic realm, the Archons, the rulers, the authorities. So when you hear that word, give it a different understanding now. Give it a different understanding. The problems we're having are not with this physical realm. It's with the principalities of darkness. Again, Our contest is not against flesh and blood, rather the authorities of the universe and the spirits of wickedness. Okay? This is what we have to watch against. And this requires more than just paying attention to the physical reality, because we don't see in the physical reality. Physical reality is already being affected by those things that are out there in these other realms. So those are what we need to pay attention to. Now, are these Archons? Are these perhaps some of these extraterrestrial entities we're hearing about? It's possible. There are those who are saying and seem to think that these gray aliens are possibly Archons. Maybe. Are they all bad? Not necessarily. Because when Yaldabaoth was creating, he was creating everything to be good and to serve him. So, doesn't mean that they're bad. They're just beings that are moving along necessarily without any thought of their own, being guided by someone else who has a misunderstanding. Okay? So, before we get on to our video for today, our message. So last night I had mentioned about the X-Files. Pretty good episode. There's 6 episodes that are going to be on. There's another one on tonight. Part of a 2-hour premiere. Really, really awesome. It seems as if they have spent time looking through all the very conspiracy theories, because they right off the bat came off with 9/11 being an inside job to, the various other things that are going on. I was just amazed as I was hearing them talk about these things, because they're all real things that are being talked about. So it certainly made me feel as if the writer of the show is paying attention out there to what's going on. What's going on definitely in the stories of alternative media. All right, so there you go. Let's jump over here to our message today from the angels.
The angels. Releasing old habits.
January 23rd, 2016, by Ann Albers.
The angels.
Last week we talked about letting go of old things and dense energies. Today, we wish to discuss letting go of old habits. In the heavens we think you are perfect now, even as you evolve. However, it is the nature of all of life itself to grow, evolve, and continue to deepen its expression of love. Take a few minutes and think about this question. What kind of person do you want to be? Most of you can answer this, at least to a degree. You know you want to speak more kindly, live in balance, act abundantly, or be more patient. Perhaps some of you want to be more proactive. You may want to be more gracious, or you may want to learn to kindly stand up for yourself. Each one of you, if you take time, can imagine the kind of person you would ideally love to be. Try living as if you are this person, just for a day. Very quickly you will begin to see your old habits rise up. We'd rather call them habits than issues. These are just ways of thinking and being that you have learned, repeated and become accustomed to. It is only when you begin to pay attention to being someone different that you will notice them. And this is good, dear ones. Celebrate. When you see an old habit, you can begin to change it. Say you want to be more gracious. You go about your day being very kind and loving to everyone, until someone is rude, and suddenly you find yourself speaking abruptly. Celebrate. Now you see where you can grow into a more gracious person. Conversely, say you want to learn to speak up more. You go about your day faking it until you make it, speaking up, even when it is uncomfortable. Then someone disagrees with you very strongly and you find yourself remaining silent and in fear. Celebrate. You have found an area in which you can grow. Now take this area in which you would like to grow and really imagine you are already there. Imagine you handle a rude person with kindness. Imagine you are comfortable lovingly speaking to a strong-minded individual. Imagine you remain in faith rather than falling into fear. Take time each day to see and imagine yourself as this person you want to be. It is only through practice, either internally or externally, that you can literally rewire your brains to react differently. Just as an athlete must practice many times to make the shot, catch the ball, or cross the finish line, so too each one of you can practice, if only through your imagination, becoming the person you wish to be. We love you as you are, dear ones. We hope you can too. And we support you in growing even more beautifully, into the kind of person you wish to become. The Angels.
Alright, that was a good message from the angels today, something that I think will apply as we do our meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. One more breath. And feel this breath just going through your body, cleansing all of your cells as you exhale. Now, imagine looking in a mirror. And you look in this mirror and you see the reflection of who you are at this moment. And you take a good look at who you are, and you decide if this is who you want to be. And if it is, embrace the qualities that you see in front of you. And if you look and you see that there are changes that need to be made, look at those changes objectively. Think of them simply as habits that need to be adjusted. And make a plan to adjust those habits to just who we are. And so go out into the world now with this thought of change, and just see yourself applying what it is you'd like yourself to be. And as you imagine seeing and being this person that you imagine yourself to be, little by little you become this being. Little by little. And just hold this image in your mind's eye of the person you would like to be. And feel the opportunity that presents itself when you let go of all of the habits and old ways. And the opportunity from the new ways of moving, acting, and being. So let's just imagine moving through the world, feeling what it's like to feel ourselves in this new way, with these new changes. And just let that be enough, going out into the world and becoming comfortable in our own skins. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's the show for today. To get us started, a lot to think about. This story of the Nag Hammadi. It's much different than what we've been told. Something to consider. So go back, reread the story today. Just take your time going through it. There's a lot there. We're going to continue on this week with the Nag Hammadi. I'm going to just bring up different texts and we're going to go through them, and you'll find from one to the other that the story is the same. It's a similar story, a little more details in each one, so we can really get the full picture of what's going on. That's it. I thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the show, to watch the show. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.